Welcome to our behind the scenes of all things Aquila. In this episode, we are going to be looking at lamination, specifically infusion, something that Aquila is really well known for. We now get into the nitty-gritty of proper boat building. Alain, I find you in the stage one, I guess, of lamination.
Yeah.
What boat do we have here?
Now this is a 42 yacht.
Yeah.
That we're standing in, taking a look at the guys working and putting on the first layer of tail coat.
Now, we can't stay in here too long without our masks. What are they doing here? We see, obviously, the red mould. This, I'm guessing, is a little bit like a cake tin.
Yeah, if it's like you have your cupcake mold,
Yeah.
basically what a boat mold is. So the red that you see is actually part of the mold. The product that the guys are spraying on right now is called gel coat. We use a white gel coat.
So when this hull lifts out of this mould, the white is what they're going to see as their exterior surface.
Yeah.
We've talked in previous episodes about how you protect your staff, but also the quality control. It's quite warm in here, so the humidity is controlled. But it's really important for you guys to make sure that your team are able to do this day in, day out in a safe way.
Yeah, in terms of the boat, every boat that we put through the lamination process goes into a box or an area like this, a workshop area. It's temperature and humidity controlled. That's critical to making sure that the product sets up correctly as the correct pure temperature. And that's the way we control the product to make sure that everything is uniform coming off the line from this hull to the next hull and beyond. Next room, they'll start putting in the fiberglass and the core materials, and then we'll eventually end up in the vinylester.
We've seen the gel coat being applied to the wax mould. We now have some fabrics here and the core material.
Yeah.
Can you explain the process here for this next stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously we saw the red mold, and then we applied the gel coat onto the red mold. Similar process here. Gel coat's already been applied, but now we're going to start adding additional layers on to give it that structure. The first layer that's going down is various cuts of fiberglass, depending on where they are. They may have a different biaxial, quadaxial, and so forth cut of fiberglass.
And that's the pattern and the weave, essentially, of the material.
Exactly. And then we start layering in different density foam cores, PVC foam cores. So depending on how much load within that structure, you'll see here we actually have 3-4 different colors. So it changes depending where that mass load is.
And that acts like a backbone to the structure, really, to the laminate schedule.
Yeah.
So that's your centerpiece. And then when you infuse, this is all going to be absorbed with the epoxy.
Yeah, it all gets sucked through, the vinylester gets sucked through, and then that gives it its true strength.
I see some metal plates here. What are those for?
Really neat to Aquila is that we actually incorporate stainless or G plates into the actual mold, and then glass and put foam core over them. That gives us the ability, some manufacturers or other boats you'll see where they've got a long bolt and then they actually have a nut on the end. We prefer to have it nice, unique, concealed, so that you can put the bolt in, but you're not having to penetrate the other side. It also makes it a lot stronger.
I've seen brands that have just used a bit of balsa or marine ply behind, or some extra bit of fiberglass in. But by having a metal plate, it just shows that sort of reverse engineering mindset of a true boater making something that's going to last a long time.
Yeah, and we get asked all the time, especially on our bow sections, oh, we need a backing plate, we got to put a bolt all the way through. We're like, nope, it's already in there. All you need to do is tap into it, bolt. Structurally, it's all there already.
Once the fiberglass has been laid, the core materials as well, and those strengthening parts, what's the next stage in the build process?
Yeah, we're going to go take a look at the vinylester resin infusion process, and that's really where we're pulling the resin through all of these materials and giving it its structural strength.
What I like too is that as you've scaled this business, it's just literally the next bay along.
Yeah,
so we don't have to travel far.
No.
So now we are in vacuum infusion, aren't we?
We're in room number 5 and one of many rooms where we do the vacuum infusion process. So what we're looking at here is some of our smaller parts as well as some larger parts in the back, but essentially the same process that we carry on our deck molds as well as our hull molds.
What is a vacuum infusion process and why do we do that?
Yeah, so what the team is doing here, they're actually prepping this area to move into the actual vacuum infusion process. These white tubes that you see here, they get laid down. We have green matting that goes down first. That's a protective barrier. Then we put the tubing in and then a plastic on top. Essentially, the air gets pulled through the white tubing, evacuated, and then they start pulling in the vinylester resin, and that impregnates all the materials underneath.
And versus hand layup, like you say, being impregnated, you can really guarantee and control in a far greater way that core material being fully saturated, which obviously creates more even distribution, but a lighter, more consistent and stronger output, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, weight and strength control, and then quality control on top of that. So the infusion process really allows us to do that. We look at sailboats, they're cruising average cruise speed 8 to 10 knots or so, and then into a Molokai or fishing line, traveling at over 60 knots. So the strength points or the load areas on a hull are vastly different from model to model, and that's where the infusion process, as well as our core materials and what we choose, really benefit the clients at the end game.
There are different materials that you can use when you're laminating a boat, different resins. Talk me through the direction that you've gone down.
Yeah, basically I'll boil it down. There's 3 different levels of resin that's typically used in boat manufacturing. You have polyester resin, vinylester resin, and then epoxy resin. Epoxy resin is top of the line. Polyester is what a vast majority of boat builders use. We go with vinylester, which is kind of upper middle of the road. It's harder to work with, but there are some key benefits to our owners, including less water absorption. So if anything below the water line, that's very important, because over the longevity of the boat, if you're absorbing water into your resin and into your core materials, that can lead to osmosis or blistering below the water line. And then anything above the water line, where it is critical for us, is the bulkheads, for example. We do all of our bulkheads vinylester resin infused with core material, so no wood in the laminate at all. That's really important when it comes to, for example, the Molokai line, 60 knots. You want a very strong, stiff bulkhead that's not going to move around a lot. And that's what we focus on, and where we really have a benefit over other manufacturers. And that's very unique to Aquila, is where we do everything in vinylester resin.
Tell me though about the hull lamination, because obviously we're in the infusion bay for smaller parts here. You obviously infuse the hull and deck molds as well.
Yeah.
But there's a unique character to your hull design and hull layout.
Obviously, in the size of the factory or shipyard that we have a unique ability to be able to do the hull and deck separately, but in one shot. So typically what you've seen, what manufacturers do and have done in the past, is they do each hull is specifically in catamaran design. They do them in single shots, and then they stitch the hulls together, basically. So we're not doing that. We have a single mold for our hull and deck, and so we vacuum infuse the entire hull in one shot. That means both hulls and the bridge that connects the 2 hulls together.
So you end up almost like a sports car monocoque.
Yeah,
where you're
exactly
adding even further strength into your construction.
Yeah, and that benefits when we start pulling in the bulkheads, which are also resin infused. You put those into place. Primary aft and foredeck bulkheads can sometimes be carbon fiber also, specifically on our 47 Molokai, as well as our 46 Coupe and our 70. And that really, you're talking about saving a lot of weight, but adding a lot of rigidity to a catamaran, which is very important when you're out on the ocean.
So after this process, we're going to go and see, I believe, a 50 yacht that has now been debagged. It's all cured, and it's now ready, I believe, to head over to the first stages of the assembly line.
Yeah, and we'll go see where this incredible team really, what that looks like at the finished product, what they're doing here in the prep area, and then what that looks like. So we're on the deck of a 50 yacht that's obviously gone through the infusion process, and now she's cured up, and we're standing on the underside of the deck.
This has been quite a popular model for you.
Hugely successful for us, so we're very happy with the 50 yacht.
You said that we're stood on the underside of the deck. You can tell that, I think, because you've got deck hatches here and various different sections that you'd see from the other side.
Yeah, correct. We've got our ground tackle gear that will go in here. In the 50, we've got one hatch that is access to your master cabin head, and then a storage locker on the other side.
And where we're standing, you've got these ribs here, these sort of strengthening beams, stringers, and this is giving further rigidity to the platform, isn't it?
Yeah, so on the 50 yacht in the bow area, we actually have a sunken terrace that dips down when you're on the top side of it, but we're on the inverse. So this is actually what we would be walking on in the bow, and we see the stringers across here to build up that strength.
And then here we have, I guess, master cabin or one of the cabin areas.
Yep.
You've got the steps there, which actually would be going down into the aft area. Yeah, this is completely inverted, isn't it?
Yeah, which is a little bit funky on your brain to think about, but that's how boat building works, is you almost have to build upside down.
Are we at a stage now where we can lift them out of the mold?
Yes, we're getting to that point. So we're going to pull the hull out of the mold. Then she's going to start moving her way down the assembly line, where we're going to start bonding in the bulkhead, stringer system, then all of the different products from the warehouse, as well as Building 5, the upholstery, stainless, woodworking is all going to come and get fitted out in the assembly line. Then we're going to bond this onto the hull and be one step closer to making her way out the door and becoming a finished product.
Tune into the next episode where all of these elements come together. We've looked at the machining, the upholstery, the woodworking, the lamination, and now we're going to bring all those elements together on the production line so an Aquila starts to look more like the boats that you've seen on the water.